Hello and welcome to the Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely, and with me today is once again Dragana Trifković, who is the director of the Center for Geostrategic Studies in Belgrade. She's been a guest before, and obviously there's some very interesting developments that have been taking place in Serbia over the past few months, and really we need somebody on the ground to help us sort through this quite dramatic events. Um, I'll just give a quick background. The current protests began last November when a concrete canopy that had recently been constructed at the railway station in Novi Sad collapsed, killing some 15 people. And this led to accusations of corruption, graft by Serbian officials and, of course, the Serbian government, including President Vucic. And this is just metamorphosed into, nationwide protests. And, we're seeing, almost every day, every week, general strikes and protests and marches from those a few days ago, a march from Belgrade to Novi Sad. And so we want to know what's going on here. And then, of course, what the prospects are for political change in Serbia. So, Dragana, first of all, welcome. Can you just fill
Thank
us
you.
in? What's happening?
Thank you, first of all, and thank you for inviting me again in your show. It's my pleasure. So I will say for the beginning that you already mentioned that protests started in November last year, but we need to consider that protests in Serbia started a few years ago, and this is only the continuing of these protests and this dissatisfaction of people in Serbia. Actually, they started in 2017 because of the elections, because the people don't believe anymore in the system of elections. I think it's not only a problem of Serbian people. I guess we have the similar problem in the United States as well, and in other countries as well in Europe. So they were not satisfied with the election conditions, and this is what started in 2017. I repeat. Then this so-called pro-Western opposition was leading these protests against the government, and next 2 or 3 years till the corona pandemic started, we had these protests in many cities in the Serbia, not only in Belgrade. But this ended when this corona started, and after this they continued, but the cause was different. We had in the 2020 anti-measures corona protests as well. Then we had the protests, ecological protests. It's also important to mention because this is a very important reason for Serbian people to protest. Then we had anti-LGBT protests in 2022. I think we had this European Gay Pride in Belgrade. And people are against this because we have a traditional society in Serbia, and we don't want this so-called gay prides and LGBT propaganda. Then we had also protests for support of Russia for a special military operation. It was interesting as well. Hundreds of people were, thousands of people were at the streets, and in that time I remember I had a call from some of my friends from European Union. They asked me how you can support, they said, Russian aggression, and I said, they said, you were also bombed by NATO, and it's not all right to support the aggression. But I answered that this is the war between NATO and Russia on the Ukrainian territory, and for us it's totally normal to support this. And there is also in the 2023, we had the protests against violence because in that time, a kid in the school killed by gun, I think 10 other kids. And the next day we had also a case when men killed 10 people in some other city. And we are coming to this, what is happening now. It started in November, as you said, after this situation with the train station Canopy fall and kill 15 people. And this is not only because of this big tragedy, of course, but because of corruption in Serbia. So we need to consider that there are too many causes and reasons. It's not only one. And this is continuing too many years. So I think the people in Serbia are really not satisfied with this government and the president of Vucic, because he is representing this power in Serbia. No matter that we don't have presidential system in Serbia, but this is the case where the president is leader of authority in Serbia. So mostly people are very angry now. And we have really mass protest. Now I think maybe whole universities, but a lot of universities are in blockade. We have a lot of students on the street. And for now, we cannot see that what will happen next and how this situation can be solved.
Okay, so that's a good introduction. So now, one thing that is odd about these protests, just the current protests. I mean, you're right to talk about these the protests in the past. Is there's no leader that has emerged. There's no one who says, well, this is the person identified as a protest. There's no organized. Doesn't seem like there's an organization that's coordinating the protests. Is that the case, or do you think there is some leader or some movement?
Yes, you are right. And I will say why is that. I mentioned this protest before, and this protest from 2017 to 2020 were led by opposition, pro-Western opposition, but they totally destroyed their authority after they were sitting with the Vucic and trying to make some compromises with Vucic, with the government. So they totally lose authority in Serbian society, and even they want to be part of this protest, but it's interesting that students don't allow them to. Even they said to them at the rally that they are not welcome there at the protests. So this is the true. Actually, we don't have political leadership in these protests now. And also, I will mention that in the last 10, 12 years, since the Vucic is in power in Serbia, the opposition is totally destroyed. We don't have any pro-Western, but we also don't have any patriotic opposition, because he destroyed literally every patriotic party in the political scene of Serbia. So it's not, how to say, strange because we don't have political leadership, because I think we have a problem that political scene is totally destroyed. This is the main problem.
But that's right, because there's talk that Vucic is threatening to hold new elections, and now the opposition or whoever is saying, well, we're not going to take part in these elections. But that itself is very strange, because if he's going to hold elections and this is your opportunity to challenge Vucic. I mean, if your problem is Vucic, then hey, this is your moment to challenge him. I mean, if you remember back in the 90s, in the case of Milosevic, I mean, every election was always very tricky for Milosevic because the opposition was well organized. And I mean, he won some elections and finally he didn't win, but nonetheless, they were always very, very tense. So it's surprising that doesn't seem to no, there's no party that can actually challenge Vucic in any election.
Yes, because we have one party now. And you said that in the time of Milosevic, we had the boycotts of elections, we had a very organized opposition, but now we don't have it. And also the people were disappointed because the opposition leader decided after the last elections to take their mandates and to sit in the parliament. And parliament is not in the function, we can say, because it's not representing anymore. It's totally under control of government and of authorities. And that was also the reason why people were very disappointed. And they asked the opposition leaders, okay, but why you did accept if you know that elections are organized under very strange conditions and we don't believe anymore in this system and democracy. Why did you accept this? But they didn't have an answer. So yes, we have a very deep crisis in Serbia, and it is very important to understand when analyze the situation in Serbia and protests and everything.
All right, there's a couple of things that I think are also striking about these protests. First of all, there's a remarkable silence from Brussels, and there's a remarkable silence from Washington. Again, Vucic has never been liked in Western media, has never been liked by Western liberals. And yet, strangely enough, you have the U.S. ambassador, Christopher Hill. People, I remember him from the Rambouillet days. I mean, he was the one who framed the whole fraudulent Rambouillet Accords. He's the U.S. ambassador in Belgrade. He's a big supporter of Vucic. Even when he had these confrontations with Kurti in Kosovo, Hill was supporting Vucic, and then Brussels, which is constantly screaming at Georgia and the government in Georgia and supporting the protests in Georgia, has said nothing. This has been going on since November, and we've heard nothing from Brussels or from Washington. So what do you make of that?
No, sorry, we heard something. We heard support for Vucic, and this is very strange situation when you heard that we have a so-called color revolution, but at the same time, Washington, Brussels, and Moscow also is supporting the Vucic regime. So how it's possible that we have color revolution, but he is directly supported by, as you said, Ambassador Hill? And not only him, we had also the statement of Grenell, who is from Trump administration recently. He also gave the support for Vucic and said it's not possible to change authorities on the streets. So please, it's not all right to make a mess and so on. So we now have, yes, this situation that he really has support from the West. And at the same time, he is saying that we have the color revolution in Serbia. So it's very strange. And also the people are very mad because of this, because he is just giving the more causes to protest, saying this and calling the people in Serbia who are protesting, like students and others, that they are foreign agents and that they are working for some foreign special services and so on. So it's really important to understand this moment, because it's even not possible to compare with Georgia, and some people are trying to compare with Georgia and Slovakia as well, because in Georgia we have the opposition with the European flags, and we know what they politically want. But in Serbia, the students don't have these requests. I mean, they don't wear at all the European flags. They were only Serbian flags, and they were singing the Serbian song. So it's not normal to accuse them that they are foreign agents and that this is the color revolution. Yes.
And indeed, I saw the other day, Novak Djokovic was wearing a shirt saying something like "Students are champions." That's
Yes.
Novak Djokovic, and Djokovic has been close with to Vucic. I mean, I remember seeing Vucic putting his arms around Djokovic when after the Olympic Games. So that's Djokovic's, so. I don't think it's a color revolution if you've got even Djokovic supporting the students.
Djokovic was very careful all the time. He didn't support the authorities. He didn't want to be involved in policy. So of course he is the national champion, and of course that he needed to have some contacts with the authorities in Serbia. It's normal, but he didn't give any clear support, for example, for Vucic, saying that he's supporting him or something. No, he didn't want to be involved in the policy. But on the other hand, Djokovic is very known as a sportsman who is supporting Serbia, who is saying in every opportunity that Kosovo is Serbia, and he is very dedicating to national interests of Serbia and Serbian people. So this is also the question. And I will also mention that Emir Kusturica also supported the students, and Kusturica is also not someone who can be recognized like a foreign agent or pro-Western and so on. So yes, you're right. This is the case.
That's right. And again, this cry of color revolution was always, you brought up this business about the ecological protest, and the protests were about this lithium mining, that
Yes.
the government was going to permit lithium mining in Serbia, and there were protests about that, but the mining was going to be done by a German company. So how can this be a color revolution when he's actually working in tandem with the German government? I mean, it never made any sense.
It's not German company. Rio Tinto is the Australian English company, but the Germans want to create the new electrical machines using this lithium from Serbia. So this is the deal. This is some deal between England, Australia, and Germany. Of course, totally Western companies and Western agreement. So yes, Vucic agreed to on mining lithium in Serbia, but the main problem for people in Serbia that this lithium is in the region very rich with the natural gas. So the people think that this will totally destroy ecology. This will poison our rivers and our land and so on, and air. And this is not only suspicion, because we have experience with this Rio Tinto company, very bad experience on other places like in Australia, in Spain, and so on. So they started to protest against this. And yes, at that time, Vucic also was saying, oh, this is the color revolution. But I was asking how it's possible that Western foreign agents are protesting against agreement with the Western companies. It's not normal. At the same time, he's saying, I don't know, he was mentioning Soros, and he's involved in organizing the protest, but he has very good relations with Soros, you know. He had a meeting many times with Alex Soros, the son of Soros, and he's working with them. He's cooperating with them. So it's also the question, how it's possible that your partner is organizing the color revolution in Serbia at the same time meeting with you. So yes, we have a lot of misunderstanding here. But I think it's the media manipulation, and of course the manipulation of our government. And the reasons are very deeply. I mean, the people have a very good reason to protest against our authorities, and I already mentioned how many reasons they have.
But again, it's very interesting because Vucic he's met Zelensky a number of times since February 2022. He hasn't met Putin once. I say he certainly hasn't been to Moscow. He's been to Kiev. He hasn't been to Moscow. So I don't think he's met Putin all this time. He's providing military assistance to Ukraine.
Yes.
He's purchased French aircraft, French military aircraft for to replace the Soviet MiGs, and he's also providing a lot of military assistance to Israel. So again, he's
Yes.
presenting himself that he's somehow, he's challenging NATO foreign policy. He's pursuing this independent line of his own, and they're out to get him. He's not doing anything. He's basically following
Yes.
the NATO playbook.
Yes, you're right, and that is why we need to understand that Western powers don't have any reason to change these authorities, because he did a lot of more for Western countries, for Western powers than democratic structures did before. And he signed a lot of anti-constitutional agreements on Kosovo and Metohija. He also agreed on this mining of lithium. He supported also Ukraine. He is sending the weapon to Ukraine. He was saying all the time that this is not true. We are lying. Who are saying that this is the truth, because I know this personally from 10 years ago, because I'm visiting these war zones and I saw this weapon there. But he was saying all the time that we are lying, we want to interfere in the relations between Serbia and Russia and so on. And at the end, last year, he needed to say that, yes, he's sending the weapons. Yes, he confirmed this in the interview for Financial Times, and it's obviously that these people who are working with them, they needed to confess. They needed for him to recognize this, to so this is a very strange situation as well. And as you said, the last 3 years, maybe, it's not still February, but from the time when Russia started the special military operation, he had 9 meetings with Zelensky, and he didn't meet the Putin. Even the President Putin invited him to BRICS Forum last year, but he refused, and he didn't want to be a part of this BRICS Forum. And all the time he is represented himself in Serbia and also at the international level like friend of Russia. But this is not true, because why he is supporting then Ukraine, sending the weapons, and also he signed a few agreements on the European platform for Western Balkans that he agreed that Putin need to go to Hague, and so on and so on. So there are many problems.
What was this? I missed that. What was this thing that he signed that Putin needs to go to The Hague?
Yes, that he needs to be sued for this, how they say, some
Arrest warrant,
crimes
the
in
International
Ukraine.
Criminal Court.
Yes,
Yeah.
for national, yes, International Criminal
He
Court.
signed this. Vucic signed this.
Yes, he signed this paper. It's an agreement on this platform, European Union for Western Balkans, and he put his sign on this agreement together with Osmani, which is the president of so-called independent Kosovo.
Okay.
So this is really disaster for us and for the people in Serbia. But we don't know what to do, because he is manipulating all the time, and he is like representing himself like a good friend of Russia and so on. But I think
That's
he's
right. And what I find particularly obnoxious about him is that he is trying to be very clever and philosophically saying, well, we have to support the territorial integrity of Ukraine because that's the same as the territorial integrity of Serbia. So if we were to accept the secession of the Donbass, then we would have to accept the secession of Kosovo. Well, this is, of course, a completely idiotic idea for all sorts of reasons, but it's particularly idiotic coming from him because it's only because of Russia that Serbia has been able to make its claim that Kosovo is still a part of Serbia and that you can't recognize Kosovo because it's based on an illegal theft. It was NATO stole this territory from us, and it was Russia that has been consistently presenting this at every international forum. So for him to then challenge Russian foreign policy on such a fundamental issue as Ukraine, I mean, that is just suicidal.
This is his hypocrisy because at the same time saying that he's protecting the territorial integrity of Ukraine, at the same time he signed a lot of agreements, which we mentioned, this Brussels agreement, Washington agreement, and also the last Ohrid plan or French-German agreement. He also agreed on this, but signing and agreeing with this agreement, he literally gave all our authority on the territory of Kosovo and Metohija to Albanians. And this signing this agreement, he agreed also to put the border between Kosovo and the rest of Serbia, to integrate the system of police, and he also integrated in this independent Kosovo. Our policemen and our judges are working now in the system of independent Kosovo. So yes, this is something which is needed to be clear to people who don't understand what he's doing, because he's saying one thing and doing a totally opposed thing. He's protecting Ukrainian integrity at the same time not protecting Serbian integrity, because he's saying, oh, but we need to protect Serbian integrity, and that is why we are not recognizing Crimea as a part of Russia. So yes, this is really totally his hypocrisy.
But this also then raises a question, which I don't know the answer to this question, which is Russia's peculiar position, because Russia is stalwartly supporting Vucic, and Russia continues to say every time there's any protest in Serbia, in Belgrade, wherever, Russia immediately, there's Zaharova says, color revolution, this is the West, they're trying to overthrow Vucic. Now, Vucic hasn't done anything for Russia, so I don't understand why, Moscow continues to embrace him. And particularly, and this is where it gets very interesting, Moscow has actually a lot of power in Serbia because there's a lot of nationalist, very good feeling towards Russia. And you have to wonder, why hasn't Russia done more over the years to cultivate a nationalist opposition to Vucic, somebody that would have been actually a genuine friend and ally of Russia's? Instead, they've embraced Vucic, which hasn't really done them much good.
Believe me, this is what is every patriot in Serbia asking as well, because they cannot understand this position of Russia. And all the time we are hearing, especially from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Russian, that yes, this is a color revolution. They want to violently change the power. We are not supporting this and so on. But people don't understand in Serbia this position, and they are asking why the Russians cannot understand that Vucic is not their friend, and the only guarantee of Serbian-Russian relations in Serbia, this is Serbian people, regular Serbian people, because more than 80% of Serbian people really love Russia. And this is the only guarantee for our future. Not Vucic, not any other politician, and so on. And I think that they need to change approach, because doing this, they are literally turning around the people who are supporting them.
Yep.
And I think this is a big problem, maybe a big problem for our cooperation in the future. But Vucic is all the time saying to them, and he's saying that, oh, you know, if I am the guarantee that we will cooperate. If someone else come, he will probably impose the sanctions on Russia and so on. But if we also analyze what is the biggest agreement, for example, between Russia and Serbia last year, it was signed at the time when the Democratic Party was in power. Democratic Party of Serbia, Koštunica, Tadić, and so on. And now Vucic even want to nationalize this industry. It's a neft industry of Serbia, and to take this part of Russian investment. I guess he wants to continue to work with Americans on this field. Because last year in September, our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Marko Đurić, who is recognized in Serbia, someone who is really hardly protecting the interest of US and Israel as well. He signed the agreement on cooperation on the field of energy with the United States, and then they want to invest in Serbia in this field and so on. So, I mean, I think this is the reason why they want to took this part of Russian investments, and we need to know that Russia really developed this industry. This industry was destroyed before the Russians invest there. So yes, this is also the part of U.S. policy. They want to cut all the energy supply in Europe from Russia, and this is also the part of Russian direct investment in energy field.
Right.
So I think this is why they want to take this part of in the neft industry.
That's right, because Vucic has said, I'm coming under so much pressure, they're playing against me. I'm going to have to impose some kind of sanctions on Russia. I can't withstand this pressure. There's no way. And now this thing with the gas, he's saying, well, we got to do something. We got to do it. And and now this is what he's saying, that we're going to buy out the Russian ownership. We're going to buy them out. But I don't know, where's the money going to come from? I mean, I guess from the Americans. But Lavrov says, well, you can't do that because it's by law, you can't buy us out. But I guess, if he just gets the money, he can do it. But he's now that's what he's saying. They're going to buy out the Russians, and the Russians are saying, well, you can't do that because by law, you simply can't buy us out. So where's he going to get the money from? From the Americans?
Maybe. I guess it could be the case because it's nothing for Americans to invest something and to agree with him. And he is also, we already said that people are corrupt, the protesting against corruption. So I think it's not a problem for him as well. But it's a problem for Serbian-Russian relations, and also it's illegally. But for him, this whole agreement which he signed about Kosovo on Brussels platform, they were all anti-constitutional. So he is not taking care about the constitution, about law. I think this is the case, and that you are right, that you get right in the point that Americans want to give the money for this, and they want to cut the Russians, and they don't want to allow the Russian influence on Balkans. This is now their biggest, I think, goal.
Well, that was, of course, why they launched their campaign against Milosevic back in the 90s. I mean, it was basically to get Russia out. This was to destroy Russian influence in the Balkans, once and for all push Russia out. There's one thing I don't know whether you know the answer to, but it's something that I've been very curious over the years because, I first came across Vucic back in 1999. He was then the Minister of Information in the Milosevic government. And at the time of the NATO bombing, and yes, if you recall, there was supposed to be an interview conducted by CNN of Yugoslavia's Minister of Information, Alexander Vucic. and the interview was supposed to take place in the RTS building on the very night that RTS building was bombed by NATO. And of course, the building was bombed at the very moment when Vucic was supposed to be interviewed by Larry King. But somehow, sometime before the interview, Vucic canceled. He said he wasn't going to do it. Now, I've always been very curious. Did Vucic get advance notice about what was going to happen that night? Why did he cancel at the very last minute? I don't know. Do you know anything about that?
I didn't know this moment, but what I know that his mother was working in this national television, and he know it. He had the information, and he evacuated his mother. So I know this part, but I didn't know that he needed to give the interview these days. But it's sure that he had the information, and the question is where from he did have the information. And also there are too many questions about the Vucic and his background, because he was in the radical party, Serbian radical party, which is expressed like super patriotic party, but there are a lot of questions about this party as well. But one which is what is interesting from his biography, after he finished the Faculty of Law in Belgrade, he was 1 year in England, in Brighton, and some are saying that he was learning English there. Others are saying that he was working like a bartman there. We don't know. But it's interesting. After this, he get back to Serbia, and his career was developing like cosmically. And it's very hard. It's very hard. I was in policy 20 years, and I know this. It's very hard without any support, and especially support of foreign powers, to become politically very interesting. So this is interesting and he also changed his job. He didn't work in the advocate. He decided to become the journalist, and after this he became the deputy, and after this he became the first and youngest minister of informations in the government of Milosevic.
Yes. Well, that's it. And you raised this very interesting point, and which was very salient during the 1990s, about these super patriotic Serbs. They're more nationalist than thou. They're really they're ferociously fighting for Serbian nationalism. And yet, interestingly enough, they were always, with the Western powers. They're always siding with them. You're like, if you recall, Djindjic, he was there. He was with all the Bosnian Serbs, and condemning Milosevic for not doing enough for the Serbs. So they were all super, and of course with this the Šešel's party. So I always wondered really where their true allegiances lie. The people who are really patriotic, they fight to the bitter end, and yet strangely enough, they always cave to the NATO powers at the crucial moment. Vuk Drašković is another one like that.
You very deeply understand the situation in Serbia, and this is a case for many years that we have these super patriots, and when you are listening what they are saying, you can say, "Oh my God, they want a big Serbia. They are fighting for Serbian interest." But everything what the Western powers was saying about Serb, that we have some hegemonistic ideas, we want hegemony, we want to take all countries around. They proved this by saying, yes, we want to create big Serbia.
Yes,
so they were very useful for the Western powers, saying, and even saying, which is not normal for Serbian people, for example, we will kill hundreds of Muslims in Bosnia. This is what Vucic said in the parliament, Serbian parliament, when he was in the radical party. And in our history, history, in the time of German Nazist occupation, they killed 100 civilians for one German soldiers, but Serbian people never did this. And he was saying, we will do it, we will do it. He was very useful for the Western powers. At the same time, Šešelj, a big patriot Serbian, he was, for example, organizing the demonstrations in Belgrade supporting the US invasion in Iraq.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
What we can say
Yes.
about this?
And Šešelj himself talked in that ways about gouging people's eyes out and this sort of thing. And of course,
Yes.
when you say these things, boom, that's all. Everyone takes that up. Well, that's repeated in the Western media. Then it was repeated at The Hague in every single trial at The Hague. Oh, look what Šešelj said. He was going to gouge out their eyes. Oh, he supports Greater Serbia. And he says, yeah, I want Greater Serbia. Yeah, all this territory is part of Serbia. And of course, that always then was used against the Serbs. Look what he's saying. Yeah, and
yes, this was the proof for everything for this black agenda from Western powers about Serbs. The Serbs are terrorists. The Serbs are killing. The Serbs are violating the human rights and so on. He was the proof. He was very useful. They said, "Oh, listen, what he is saying. These Serbs are doing this, not only saying."
Good.
Yes, I agree totally.
That's right. And they tried that against Milosevic and said, well, I never supported Greater Serbia, and he didn't. He never supported. I supported Yugoslavia, and they tried to think, yeah, but that's kind of the same thing, but of course it's not the same thing. But that was it. They tried to get Milosevic. That's why the trial was such a failure, because there was never any evidence that he supported Greater Serbia. Yeah.
You're right. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So what happens now? Where do we go from here? What do you see as the immediate future?
Yes, what we can say, new elections will not help, I'm sure this, because especially with this political scene of Serbia, that we have totally destroyed opposition and we don't have alternative. Literally, we don't have political alternative. So it's hard to imagine what will happen next. For us, it's very important to protect this cooperation with Russia, Serbian-Russian relations. It's very important for us and for our future. Because it's a historical fact that we can be supported in the right way only by Russia. And this is something which is very important. Now we have some new groups. We have some group of people which is not easy to understand what they want, which is their policy. The Proclamation is the name of this group, and it's the group made by, I think, show business and also actors like in Ukraine, like Zelensky, and singers and so on. But it's not clear what they politically want. They said, okay, we need to change our system, and I agree on this. We need to change the system because the system is anti-Serbian, and this we have a roots long time ago from the past Yugoslavia and so on. And we need to change regime. Okay, I can agree on this as well. But in which way? You need to offer something. It's not important. It's not possible only to say we need to change. And what is the next? Then we have the same situation like US intervention everywhere in the world, in Libya, in Iraq. We need to change the Hussein to Gaddafi. And what after this? This is very important. For Serbia, it's important to keep stability, to not allow to be involved again in some conflicts. It's big dangerous for us to protect these Serbian-Russian relations and somehow to create some good processes in Serbia, which will stronger our institutions, because our institutions are also in very bad condition and not functioning. and also to, I don't know, to maybe to find some new people. We have good people and professionals everywhere, like engineers. Our people are successful everywhere. To find some very good people which will agree on this, to take this very big responsibility for the Serbian future. But we don't need these fake liberals, fake patriots. They're the same, you know. The same. Maybe I don't know. We cannot expect anything good from them. So we need really new people who will be responsible for our future. And we can see that in these demonstrations there are a lot of good people. They are young, of course. But we need to find a way to integrate our young people and our professionals who have their careers and want to take a part of rebuilding the Serbia. This is, I think, the point. Elections will not help.
Okay. Well, one thing we haven't touched on, and I don't know whether it's significant, which is events in the Republika Srpska. Is anything significant happening there? Because there's permanent threats from Dodik. He's going to secede. This is an ongoing thing. He's always threatening to secede from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and of course, then we have the threats from NATO and the EU. If you try that, the heavens are going to crumble. So, do you see anything on the horizon in the Republika Srpska?
I think it's a similar situation like in Serbia, no matter that Western countries are criticizing the Dodik as well and Vucic sometimes, but on the other hand, they are supporting them. So I don't see anything really dangerous. I don't see also reason why to change these authorities in Serbia as well as the Republic of Srpska, because some way they are finding all the time some way to agree with the Western powers, and for them this is only important. They are not interested in corruption in Serbia. They don't care. Of course, they don't care about corruption in their own countries, about the electoral system, which is totally destroyed. They have the same problem. What can be important for them? This is some business, some investments. And if, for example, Vucic wants to agree or not wants to agree on some projects that are very important for West, like this with neft industry of Serbia, this may be the problem. But I think in this case as well, they will not try to change the authorities. Maybe they will try to use this protest against him to push him to do this.
Right.
And this is, but for us, for people in Serbia, there is no differences, yeah. So maybe if we are speaking about Rio Tinto as well, this is, as we said, Australian English company. Germans want to use this lithium for building the electronic car industry, but this is not. I think this is not good. This is not fine for United States, because they have their own projects like Tesla and others. So maybe they can try to push him to break this deal with this Rio Tinto company. For example,
To keep so as to curry favor with Trump. So if hey, we've canceled this agreement, and then that's that's very interesting, because that was what I was coming to. Because of course, President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner has signed this real estate deal in Belgrade. Essentially to build a kind of a Trump Tower in Belgrade, the scene of a destroyed building, building destroyed in the 1999 bombing. First of all, is that happening? Is that going to happen? This real estate deal?
Yes, this is happening, and this is also illegal, because this building of general staff in the Belgrade, which was bombed in 1999 by NATO, is cultural heritage. and it was protected by law, and it's not possible to decide to change this without the procedure, but he did it. He signed, the Vucic signed the agreement with Jared Kushner, and he didn't care about this law of protection, of cultural protection of this building and anything else. He just decided his own, like he's doing as well all the time, that he will agreed on this. So yes, as we know, the Kushner and Trump as well, like he will build this some new business center and hotel in this replace this bond building of general staff in the Belgrade.
Right. So it's
And
quite
this is
possible.
also,
Yeah,
yes, sorry, this is also interesting that this is very strategically important object because it's the main military object in Belgrade. But the second one, that was the first general stab of the Serbian army before the First World War. This is the place on the Dedinje in Serbia. You know, what is there now? There is now the American embassy. And this is also, yes, this is also like we bombed them and now we will take all strategically important places and build there our buildings and build our power. We will represent our power. Like we will bomb you and we will you will see our flags after this in these places which we bombed. So yes,
Right.
I think it's not.
That's right, and which is why I think Vucic is probably feeling quite confident about himself because he now has Trump in the White House with Rick Grenell. You mentioned him, who is very well disposed towards Vucic, going back to the first term, and he has his son-in-law. He's got a son-in-law who's actually quite an incompetent businessman. So, but his son-in-law has signed this business agreement in Belgrade. So, Vucic is a powerful friend in Donald Trump, so he can, well, okay, protest, no protest, whatever. I don't care. I have a powerful friend, so probably I think Vucic is safe. I mean, it's he's not likely to be toppled anytime soon.
He's not saying this because he have this PR and manipulation that there is a color revolution in Serbia. So he's not saying, "Oh, I have support from the Grenell and from the Trump." But we know this. We
Right.
know this, and Grenell as well supported him. So I think he is afraid. Vucic is afraid because of people. Because of people in Serbia and their reaction and their angriness. But he is not afraid that Trump will decide to replace him,
Yep.
or Brussels or London or Tel Aviv as well, because you already mentioned that he is developing really close cooperation, sending the weapons to Israel as well. And now recently, our military decided to agree to sign the agreements on buying the weapon, not only from France, you mentioned this part, but also with Israel as well, and to replace the Russian weapon with this one. Yes. So I think they don't have really reason to replace the Vucic because he did more than every leader before him for the Western power interest or for this deep state or globalists or so,
Yeah.
whatever we call them. Yes,
Right.
he's very good for them.
And that was the reason why they decided to abandon the democratic opposition of Serbia, well, the Boris Tadic and Vuk Jeremic, and decided to support these ultra nationalists, the radical party, this Nikolic, and then Vucic, because they thought they can deliver for us. Tadic and others, they failed. They haven't delivered for us. Whereas Vucic and Nikolic and the rest of them, they'll deliver. And as you've just listed all the things, yeah, he's delivered.
Yes, you're totally right. Even you can find the telegrams in WikiLeaks where they are writing this. If we want to finish this project of so-called independence Kosovo, we need to bring in power pseudo-patriots, some patriotic parties, some people who are recognized in Serbia like patriotic. Because the people in Serbia, when the Democratic Party was in power, were very suspicious and they were following every step And they maybe even they wanted, but I don't think so. But they couldn't deliver Kosovo to
Yeah.
West. But then they decided to replace these democratic structures to bring power these extra patriots from radical party, and the people was like in sleeping.
Yeah.
They were sleeping there saying, oh, Vucic, he is protecting the Serbian interests. He will allow the Western powers to do something. And so while we were sleeping, he delivered everything.
Right.
This is the problem.
That's
This
right.
is the problem. And even, they interfere in the elections in 2012 because Boris Tadic knew it that he lost the power after he didn't want to allow to sign this Brussels agreement. This was a request of the Merkel in this time, and he knew it that he lost the power. And then they decided to bring this like a radical party with the masks and to finish everything with them. Yes, this is the problem that people still, some people in Serbia still don't understand these facts.
Right. No, they do, because they assume, well, just because the Western media keep attacking Vucic, that means Vucic is a good guy. Oh, well, if the New York Times hates him, that means Vucic must be doing something right. No, it was not. And you're absolutely right. That agreement, the Brussels agreement, that was key. That it was that it had to be this super patriotic parties that signed the Brussels agreement. And for some reason, the Russians keep talking about that Brussels agreement. They keep championing, oh, the Brussels agreement, I haven't fulfilled the Brussels agreement. Of course, the Brussels agreement was essentially a de facto acceptance of the loss of Kosovo. I mean, it was a terrible agreement.
Yes, it was agreement to allow to agree on the so-called sovereignty of independent Kosovo, territorial integrity as well, and it's totally against our constitution. So we decided to include this constitutional law, and I, with some of professors of law, decided to start a case against this because we know that it's anti-constitutional and it's against our interest. But yes, it's very strange that Russian structures continue to say, oh, you didn't organize this set of these municipalities in the Yes, this unit of municipalities of Serbia in the Kosovo and so on. And this is also according to this Brussels agreement and according to this Constitution of Independence Kosovo. Yes, this is a problem. But I don't know, really. I cannot understand as well. Maybe they have some plans which we don't know and we cannot understand, but
I doubt it. I think they're just trying to be clever. Oh, well, there's a Brussels agreement. They haven't, adhered to the Brussels agreement. But the Brussels agreement was a terrible agreement because you accept the legitimacy of the Kosovo authorities. It's the first step to accepting an independent Kosovo. So by giving legitimacy, oh, well, you're not, look, you're not following the Brussels agreement. You're giving legitimacy. It was a terrible agreement. Your whole foreign policy position has been Kosovo was illegally seized from Serbia. NATO violently seized Kosovo from Serbia by bombing Serbia. So that is your policy. So therefore, any community, what is it, community of municipalities or whatever it was called, anything like that is actually lending legitimacy to what NATO did.
Yes, this is right.
Yeah. Anyway, Dragana, thank you so much for your time. It was a really fascinating discussion. I think we all learned a great deal from it. So really appreciate it, and see you very soon, I hope. All the best.
Thank you very much. It's really my pleasure to speak with someone who really deeply understands the problems in Serbia. So yes, I will be glad anytime to speak with you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much, Dragana.
Thank you.